History was changed forever with the Emancipation Proclamation set in place by the 16th President of the United States of America, Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln, known as Abe or even Honest Abe, is one of the most memorable presidents due to his ideas on democracy and his ability to start and finish the abolishment of slavery. With an open mind and true wisdom, he changed his opinion on slavery and earned one of his most famous nicknames, the Great Emancipator. In 1858, he said his definition of democracy was, as I would not be a slave, so I would not be a master. This expresses my idea of democracy. Whatever differs from this to the extent of the difference is no democracy at all. The concept of democracy is an evolving term. Democracy at one point did not include people of color nor women. Yet today, because of people like Abraham Lincoln, who stood up in history to make a difference, people of color and women are included in all laws and policies. The definition that the president gave of democracy differs from some of his previously said remarks in his earlier term. But he revokes the things he said, showing growth as not only as a person but as a leader as well. By publicly renouncing the things he said, he opened a new chapter to where others were able to do the same. The remarks such as these led him into planning for what in 2 years would become the Civil War. George H. Smith, the author of System of Liberty, says in reference to what Abraham Lincoln thought on what would happen to slaves once they were freed in America is, a race war was inevitable if former slaves settled among white Southerners. So blacks and whites would benefit both from colonization. The 16th president wanted peace among his land, which led him to think outside of the box. With this thinking led him to the conclusion that blacks should live in a new land as to avoid the animosity that would come with them living with both races. The thought of what would happen to blacks once they were freed, living among whites, was questionable. To many, it was believed that it would lead to a war among races. Therefore, his conclusion was colonization was the answer, yet many did not agree. Eric Foner, the author of The Fiery Trail, Abraham Lincoln and American Slavery, states that multiple factors led to the president's change in position regarding former slaves, some being that slave owners nor slaves agreed with colonization. His ability to listen to his people and accept other ideas helped the former president. By correcting himself throughout history, he was able to make not only the better choices for his people, but himself as well. By standing up for African Americans, he gave them their freedom with the 13th Amendment, but also let many of them stay in the land where they were born and raised, instead of sending them to a new territory sending them to an unknown territory where many of them wouldn't know how to make it. In history, one can see the significance of what a single man with power can do while taking a stance. Today, many minorities are facing some of the similar problems that slaves faced back then. Abraham Lincoln believed in a world where there weren't slaves, and the democracy he so strongly stood for showed this. Maybe soon someone will come to power, either a man or a woman, who will show the same beliefs he stood for, and the minorities facing the things they're facing today will have someone stick up for them.